Well, we've got the Premier League to look forward to now. City will be in action against Leeds on December 28th. Liverpool take on Aston Villa on Boxing Day. But I suppose all the focus, Mark Ogden, has to be back on Arsenal. They ended strong before the break in action. They're still leading the table, obviously. No one's got anywhere. No games have been played. They're the focus of your latest article?
Yeah, the point of the piece is that I think now is when it really gets real for Arsenal, because they've only played 14 games at the top at Christmas. I think usually by now the teams have played 17, 18 games, so you've got a bit more depth in the season. So is it a bit unfair to say that Arsenal are top at Christmas and it's theirs to lose? It probably is, because they've not had enough game time yet and they haven't played City yet. And let's be honest, they've lost Gabriel Jesus, it's a massive loss. He could be out for 4 months. Now, people say, well, he's not scored that many goals. I think he scored 5 or 6, but it's what he's brought to the team in terms of he leads the line like a centre forward. He's brought a winning mentality. He brings players in. He's created so many assists, and I think he's given them a lot of confidence. So somehow Arsenal have got to find a way to replace Gabriel Jesus. And also the question marks of Ben White. Is Ben White going to be able to pick up where he left off before the World Cup? Because he left the World Cup in, unusual circumstances, personal reasons. We don't quite know what that is yet. So is he in the right frame of mind to play for Arsenal? So Arsenal have had a bad World Cup in some ways. Bukayo Saka had a good tournament and Martinez come back and he may sign a new contract. But in terms of Arsenal's big play, you just wonder whether they've come back in the right frame of mind. And it's going to be tough for Arsenal because they've got a lot of games coming up now. They've got a really tough 6 weeks ahead. They've got, West Ham at home at the weekend, tough London derby. Then they've got Brighton. Then I think between now and mid-February, they've got Man City, they've got Tottenham, they've got Man United and Newcastle. So we're really going to find out whether Arsenal have got what it takes. They've got a good lead. They've got a 5-point lead. But they're a young squad, they're an inexperienced squad. And they'll have seen Man City play last night against Liverpool thinking, uh-oh, here we go. Man City could, win 20 out of the next 21 games quite easily. And that'll be the worry for Arsenal.
It is. It's funny, isn't it, Shaka? Because as Mark's just said, it's a 5-point lead. They've done everything that would have been expected of them up until this point. And yet before the break for the World Cup, it was still a big question as to whether we could actually call them title favourites. And everyone's still saying, well, obviously City are title favourites. Can they keep this up in part of the season? I know it's not the full second part of the season, but obviously there's been that break at the time it came. Can they pick up where they left off?
They can pick up whether they can maintain that for the length of the season. I think the January transfer window will determine that. And I'm with Mark in that Gabriel Jesus has been absolutely phenomenal for Arsenal. And how do you replace that? Again, January will determine that. And again, Mark is right. It's less about goals with Gabriel Jesus and how he leads the line, and a certain level of leadership that I think Arsenal have been missing for quite some time. And now, how do you go without that for this extended period? And so, as I say, it comes down to who is able to be brought in and how quickly they hit their stride in filling that void. At the same time, I still make Arsenal second favourites because of right now, and like most, because we know and we've seen Arsenal kind of had a good half of a season and then trail off in the second half. They've not put together 2 good halves for quite some time. And on the other side of that very same coin, you know that City can. We know what City can do from pillar to post. They continue to show that. So we know what City could do. We're still waiting for Arsenal to prove us wrong, as it were. So right now, halfway through, or just about halfway through, I still feel that City are favourites.
Shaka, can I just ask you something? I don't want to kind of dig into negative memories here, but you've been in a similar situation to Arsenal with Newcastle back in 95, 96. You had a good lead. You were entertaining people. You were an inexperienced team, but you knew over your shoulder you had this team of serial winners that hadn't had a great start, but they're still there. Do you sense that in the back of your mind, or do you just focus on what's ahead of you, or do you think, here we go, every result they get is chipping away at the confidence?
Well, you try to focus on what's ahead of you, but I often say that it's a lot easier to chase than it is to lead. Where when you're leading, as Arsenal are, and we were back in that 95-96 season, every game just feels like you have to set a marker down and you have no room. And then when you have somebody like Manchester United chasing every slip, and everybody has a little slip, is capitalized on. And as a team who doesn't have that experience of leading from the front, that pressure, when you you drop any points, whether it's 2 or 3 points, that pressure ramps up immeasurably, and it does it does take a significant toll. So you're right on that. It's not easy for a team who don't have that experience, and oftentimes, you see this time and time again, teams hit the post, so to speak, before they go on and win that title. City finished second before they won. Liverpool just missed out, and then they won the title. Those kinds of learning experiences are invaluable in the longer run. Now, Arsenal have not had their hit the post moment, let's call it. So we will see how the rest of the season kind of pans out.
I would love it if we got an Arteta. I would love it moment, just in reference to that. Listen, Mark, how important are those games going to be? You mentioned the Arsenal City games, because we haven't seen that yet. It was taken away from us because of games being postponed, obviously due to the passing of the Queen and European fixtures having to be honoured. So we haven't seen it. How important are they going to be? They're
going to be really important because, let's flip it around a bit. Arsenal got a 5-point lead, so I think that City's margin for error is kind of reduced. If Arsenal put up an 8-point lead, then you can start saying, well, maybe that's a big enough gap, because as it is now 5 points, 2 games against City to play. Well, City win those 2 games at the top of the league. But I think if Arsenal can pull away a little bit, so that first game in mid-February, I think it's a really, really big game, because by mid-February, we'll know if Arsenal are serious. If Arsenal are still top of the league by then, or even in the shake or even second, then the winners of that game, that reminds you a little bit of the other way when Leicester played for the title in 2016. They just kept winning. They just kept winning and winning and winning. And when the big games came around, they won them. And that's what Arsenal need to do. They really need to get a result against City. If City beat Arsenal, and again, sorry, Shaka, we're going back to the Newcastle Man United situation back in '96, when the team that has got that experience wins the big game, you can just sense that the momentum shifts. So Arsenal really need to win that game. And I think that they can do it. I think it's at the Emirates, so it's in their grasp to do it. But if Arsenal don't win that game, you just think, well, City are just going to reel them in.
What happened in 95, 96? I totally forget.
All I'm saying is Mark chose violence today.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.